You know, with Purdue football, I'm not sure which team I'm going to get sometimes from week to week. Sometimes I'm getting the high on the roller coaster. Other weeks, I'm coming back down. With Iowa, I know what I'm getting every single week. Sometimes for better, a lot more times for worse. Great time to subscribe to the channel. Big Ten content every single day, always. And I mean always, crush the like button to spread the word of Big Ten Ted. Opportunity. This Iowa offense has an opportunity to move the ball and maybe, just maybe, get more points than Purdue at the end of the day, because this Purdue defense is a little bit banged up. You look at Corey Trice and Jamari Brown, they've yet to practice this week as of the taping of this video, so that's not great for things going on in the defensive secondary for the Purdue Boilermakers. And this is a secondary for Purdue that has not fared well in their last 3 games against Maryland, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. They've given up 872 yards and 7 touchdowns in their past 3 games through the air. And obviously, Iowa is not an offense that is a juggernaut throwing the football. But you know what Iowa has right now? Confidence. Look, I don't care that maybe Northwestern is the worst defense in the Big Ten. I don't care that Northwestern is maybe the worst team in the Big Ten. But when you've had the year that you've had in Iowa, Brian Ferentz and this entire offense, and you've got criticism coming at you from every single angle, you'll take a good performance. You'll take a high completion rate. You'll take any sort of confidence that you can get on the offensive side of the football. And that's what I saw last week against Northwestern. I saw a little bit of efficiency in the passing game. I saw some running game. Look, what is the key? What is the key for Iowa to move the football on this Purdue defense? I talked about their secondary. You look at a guy like Kydron Jenkins right now. He's a game-time decision for Purdue. He's maybe one of their better linebackers, pass rushers, the Leo position on that Purdue defense. This is an Iowa offense that has to run the ball well on first down. First down, it feels like it dictates the entire offense. If you can't run the football on first down, then you get to a 2nd and 8, a 2nd and 9, and you can't run the ball on 2nd down, or you throw an incomplete pass, you get into 3rd and long. And right now, 3rd and long is the kryptonite of what Iowa wants to do on the offensive side of the football. Look, they can't throw the football down the field. This is not an offense that could line up on a 3rd and 7 or a 3rd and 8. They don't have the offensive line to push and be able to run the football on that type of situation. So this is a team that needs to run downhill on first down. They need to attack this Purdue defense here on first down and shorten those down and distances. That's exactly what they need to do. Iowa is successful on offense when they run the football effectively in chunks in early down situations, and they set up a short passing game, specifically a short play action passing game to their tight ends. Okay, Luke Lachey and of course Sam Laporta is their top receiving threat this season. Now, you got other guys at receiver. Nico Reganey has kind of come on since he's come back from injury. You look at Arlen Bruce. You look at Brody Brack. You got some guys in there. But short yardage situations is exactly where Iowa needs to be if they are on the field on 3rd down. If they do get into 3rd down, they need it in 3rd and 4 or less. I believe that's the key. Because if Purdue gets them playing backwards, gets them playing into longer yardage situations, I think that's where Purdue can take advantage. Look, I know they're a little bit shorthanded on defense, the Boilermakers are, but this is a Purdue defense that has been able to take the football away, specifically Cam Allen in that defensive secondary. And if they get Iowa into 3rd and long, maybe that's a situation where Purdue, maybe they pin their ears back with the rest of that defensive line, and maybe some of those ball hawks back there force turnovers and set their offense up with short field. Speaking of this Purdue offense, okay, we know the threat that Iowa is defensively. Okay, they are an elite defense. There is a ton of talent on this Iowa defense. How does Purdue try to attack? I think you gotta have good balance. You gotta have a good variety. You gotta be able to run the ball a little bit with Devin Mockabee. You gotta be able to throw the ball a little bit, and you know Iowa is going to be focused on Charlie Jones. I feel like in this football game, other guys are going to have to step up. What about Payne Durham? right? We know Iowa is very good in the secondary. We know they've got good coverage secondary guys. I mean, look what happened early in that game against Ohio State. They were physical with the Ohio State wide receivers, and they were able to at least keep them in check for the first part of that game. I'll get to the second part of that game in just a minute and how that maybe comes back and relates to this game. But I feel like you need some diversity on offense. You need some running game. You need a plethora of wide receivers. Maybe this is the game for Payne Durham at tight end, because we talk about all those defensive backs at Iowa that can maybe match up with all the receivers that Purdue is putting out there. But where is the matchup? Where's the matchup with Payne Durham? You know, maybe Iowa has it at safety, but I'm just curious to see if maybe they're looking at defending all of these wide receivers. Maybe Payne Durham right up the seam could have a really good day. I've seen that before in a lot of games. When teams are looking at Purdue, they're looking at Charlie Jones. We got to stop Charlie Jones. We got to try to stop some of these other wide receivers. That's where Payne Durham can come up and have a big day. So you got to look for that. Purdue's offensive line has got to play well, and that's a concern for me, I think, right now. Look, earlier in the season, you know, they were shuffling some things around. The Maryland defense kind of had their way with them. If I'm Iowa, I'm pinning my ears back because I feel pretty well on how we, as an Iowa defense, can defend this Purdue running game and Devin Mockabee. It's the passing game. Pin your ears back. Try to get pressure on Aiden O'Connell and try to force turnovers. Like, look what happened with that Wisconsin game and how Purdue got behind because they gave Wisconsin short fields time after time after time. And we know Iowa loves to force the turnover. That's why Purdue was able to do what they did last season, because they were the first team at that point in time in the season that took care of the football and didn't get baited into what Iowa wants to do. Okay? And that might be the key for Purdue. Don't get baited, but for Iowa, you got to try to bait them into turnovers, and maybe quarterback pressure is exactly where that all starts. I want to revert back to Iowa for just a minute. We talked about the running game before. Got to run the ball really well on first down to get things going, set up short yardage situations. Caleb Johnson. I just think Caleb Johnson gives this Iowa offense a spark that LaShawn Williams doesn't, that Gavin Williams doesn't. I just love watching this kid run the football. The freshman in the backfield for Iowa, I think, is the future at the position there for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Obviously, he had a really good game against Northwestern. I just like the way he runs better. I think he sets up more successful plays down the field than maybe LaShawn Williams does and Gavin Williams does. Now, obviously, you're still going to use those guys. Obviously, those guys are still going to be a part of your running game, but I'd love to see Caleb Johnson get more touches in this Iowa offense. I could think that could give them some success. Last thing I'm going to touch on in this preview, you can't let the dam break. That's what happened against Ohio State, right? This defense is carrying them and carrying them and carrying them, right? They're containing, they're forcing Ohio State to field goals, they're forcing some turnovers, and the offense didn't do anything. That's where the dam is going to break. That's where eventually there's going to be too much weight on the defense's shoulders that are eventually going to break, especially against a team like Purdue with a good amount of offense on the offensive side of the ball. I really believe Iowa can win this game, believe it or not. I think there's enough injuries, there's enough shuffling going on in West Lafayette right now that they could come in, pitch a really good game defensively, but offense. They need to do something. And maybe with the injuries, maybe with the lack of depth on Purdue, this is that opportunity. That's what we started with the video with. It's an opportunity for the Iowa Hawkeyes. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Who you got? Iowa, Purdue. Once again, I want to hear all of those predictions. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Big Ten Ted, and we'll see you in the next one.